Tender by Trina. A gender-fluid teen takes on the underbelly of the city designed to destroy them. How to contact me. Here's my phone number, my email, and my website. Why me? I'm Trina, and I've been working in the theater since I was a young child. And in my 20s, I wound up taking a job in finance and established a career working to help people achieve their financial goals. Then I realized I still had goals of my own, and that was to create meaningful stories and to bring a voice to the voiceless. So working in the arts called me back over a decade ago to try to bring that dream to life, and here I am. My years in project and financial management facilitate the success of my productions, as well as an extensive understanding of the mechanics of executing a theatrical production. I've worked as a producer, director, actor, and set designer. And I believe I can go ahead and bring this story, which is extremely personal to me and my experiences, to life. Tender is the story of a young gender-fluid teen carving a place for themselves in the inhospitable world of the San Francisco Tenderloin in the 1990s. They stumble into conflict with the city's criminal syndicate, and with help from a local madam, they scheme to make it out with their lives and the mob's money. Frankie's struggle is filled with raw realities of the underbelly of the city, action-packed adventures sprinkled with humor, and tenderness. I have experience with site-specific work, and this could be a fantastic approach to Tender. A bar with a small stage or a comedy club could work for the venue. With skilled lighting, the bar scenes could actually be at the bar, and the audience would be participants in the production as club patrons. A traditional stage could also be used in a variety of formats with minimal set design, creating the tone for each location and emphasizing the sparseness of poverty. In a different opportunity to go ahead and utilize a scrim and perhaps even a rotating stage, you can lose some of that set design and create the images on the scrim as the background, and the rotating stage would actually help facilitate that movement and phonetic feeling of moving through a metropolitan area. Having the actor skilled in dance or movement could also help create the action without special effects, just as West Side Story uses dance for fighting. This too could show some of the more triggering scenes of abuse. Depending on the venue, the budget and the crew requirements would change drastically, as would the final production and its overall feeling. The constant would be the humanness of these characters. So for the production, I would be acting as producer. A stage manager would be needed, director, set designer, carpenter, costume designer, marketing, which would also be worked on by the producer, lighting, sound engineer, venue, and a choreographer or a dance director. The cast will consist of Frankie, our hero, Ricardo, her confidant, Manny and Mr. Mancini, the villains, if you will, of the story, Akasha, Isis, Margie, Bev, and Star, which help Frankie along the way, and Seamus, Mr. Mancini's thug. These characters can be recycled essentially to create texture in the club scene, to add additional people on the street or in the bodega, so that you can get the real feel of that hustle and bustle of the city also. Here's my personal resume. It is not a complete list of all of the productions that I've participated in as both an actor, producer, director, etc. But you can see more information about me and my experience on my website, Trina-Cologne. Budgeting. So minimum of $8,100 is what I have specified as the requirement for this production. But I feel like there are a number of ways to tackle the budgeting here. And being able to reallocate the funds elsewhere. I am an advocate for going ahead and making sure that the cast is compensated, which isn't always the case in community theater, but there would be an opportunity, obviously, for a community theater stage, and they often have a built-in audience, which would then also help with the marketing. But if we're doing some kind of site-specific work, marketing, I believe, would be one of the largest expenses. The scrim and projector would obviously cut down on set building. If we use that, that could actually suffice for a lot of the ambiance that would normally be picked up by the set and the set dressing. So there's a number of ways to massage these figures to go ahead and fit with a number of different venues. So there is the traditional marketing, the flyers, the posters, billboards, working in cross-marketing with other productions, but specifically this production could be marketed towards people working with sex worker advocacy groups, people who are working in the immersive theater market, women empowerment advocacy groups, the action movie market, which I hope brings in other patrons that are interested in kind of seeing that traditional action feel of a film that keeps them maybe from patroning the theater, burlesque audiences, inclusive organizations, and LGBTQ advocacy groups. Social responsibility of tender is something that I hold close to my heart. Tender takes place in the 1990s, but the social effects of the financial inequality of sex workers of all genders has changed very little. The intersection of crime, the drug trade, and sex work hit a pinnacle in this area of the country at this time, making the rise out of poverty for those people living in this next to impossible. We see a glimpse into housing that is now no longer available, which used to offer a safe haven for people to escape the streets, and much of that has now been repurposed into larger single-family residences or hotels. Tender shows us that during this time, if you were to succeed in this environment, it really required a full submersion of a person into the snare of this world, and then unfortunately only the very lucky would have the opportunity to make it out. We're highlighting the relationships, those moments of unexpected tenderness that people are sharing in these unfortunate circumstances, and we would like to go ahead and show the struggle and the failure often of attempting to escape this sort of world, and then also the highlight of the relationships between the people in a portion of society that we are very quick to step over, lock up, and disregard. Here's an idea of the set design for the apartment that Frankie lives in with Isis. A Potential idea for the staging of splitting the alley and the bodega on the stage to see the movement between the inside and the outside world. And an idea for the strip club, highlighting the bar, tables for the patrons, the stage. And the crime boss's office, or Jimmy Mancini's office. So to capture the vibe of what the San Francisco Tenderloin was like during this time period, I wanted to be able to show some images of the housing, that often it was the kitchen, living room, bathroom, all in one small location. The streets of the Tenderloin, the feeling of the ever-present sex trade that was really one of the few ways that people had to go ahead and try to springboard themselves out of poverty here. I've included a breakdown of the scenes and the two acts of the play. Since Tender is a new and original piece, I felt it would be beneficial to go ahead and kind of see the overall story arc, how Frankie is attempting to succeed under these circumstances, who helps her, and how she narrowly escapes and is subsequently victorious.